They're going to close down a few grocery stores in the middle of a black neighborhood in Memphis, Tennessee. In case you think this story sounds familiar, I'm going to tell you a little. It should be familiar for two reasons. I'll tell you one now and one in a minute. The first reason it should sound familiar is we just did this story in Baltimore. They closed a Target in the Mondawmin Mall in Baltimore. Mondawmin, that's ground zero for all the riots in Baltimore. Do you remember all those burning buildings, all those people pulling, setting stuff on fire, attacking cops, throwing rocks at cops, doing all sorts of bad stuff? That was right at the Target. So they closed the Target. We did a video on this. They closed the Target, and everybody in Baltimore, in Baltimore turned around and said, "Hey, why are you guys closing the Target? We really need that Target." Of course, nobody was speaking up for the Target when it became ground zero for epic levels of criminality. And I'm not just talking about the riots. Anyway, let's look at the replay playing out down in Memphis now at the Kroger's. And let's see if any of you guys can remember anything about the Kroger's down in Memphis.
Community leaders met in Orange Mound tonight looking for solutions after Kroger announced it will shut down 2 Memphis stores. WMC Action News 5's Janice Proch is live for us with the action some citizens say they're going to take. Janice?
Well, many of the people at that meeting wondered why Kroger built really nice stores like this one here in Midtown, and they didn't do much of anything to their Kroger stores. Now those communities are losing 2 stores.
Shock, dismay, disappointment, angry almost.
I caught up with Barry Ford just before he went into the meeting at Mount Pisgah Church, where the room was filled with people who do not want to see the Kroger in Southgate Shopping Center and the one on Lamar close.
So both of the stores that I've shopped at most of my life are going to be gone in a month.
The stores have been a staple in the communities.
For those who have cars, it is easy to navigate this change. But we have many across those 3 communities who do not.
People went to the Kroger's not only to shop for food, but also for the bank and the pharmacy. But many people in the room are unhappy about the fact that Kroger built fancy new stores in some communities, but didn't seem to care much about the stores in their communities. Wanda Halbert represented the area for 8 years on the city council.
And I remember going into the store and it smelled like rotted meat. It just smelled like dead meat.
Halbert said she complained and it got a little better. Now, there are other grocery stores in the area like Save-A-Lot and Aldi. Kroger said it's closing the stores because they were losing millions of dollars. Alvin Crook had one solution.
I say, let them go. And this could be the opportunity that we have to get something our own as far as a black business.
Doesn't take long to figure out that the Kroger's in Memphis is much like the grocery stores, the big box stores, and every other black neighborhood in America. They are centers of black violence, criminality, theft, burglary, robbery, in the store, out of the store, people going to the store, people leaving the store. That's why they're closing. I love these city council members. They get up there and they say, well, they're not losing millions of dollars. There's 1 billion people in there. They're lying to us. And yeah, the lady goes, we shall overcome. You really think that's going to do the trick? No, that might get the statues of Confederate generals removed from Memphis. But running a business actually requires some skills. And being able to hold hand and recite 50-year-old civil rights mottos is not really considered a business skill in this environment. So that's why that's why the Krogers are closing at Memphis. Now, if I ask you, or when you were watching this thing, did anything come to your mind when you heard about the Krogers in Memphis? If you were like me, the answer is no, not even a little hint of something. But what if I said, hey, do you remember that video? You remember that video we had at a parking lot where hundreds of black people were rampaging through a parking lot? I know, haven't narrowed it down yet. But the person taking the video was shrieking, they got a white boy. They got a white boy. Remember that one? Or do you remember that? Or what if I told you that was the video where hundreds of black people were rampaging through the wall, went into the mall, went into Kroger's, and they hit one of the white kids over the head with a unripe pumpkin, knocked him out. Now, does that sound familiar? I bet it does. Because that's exactly what we're talking about here. We're talking about the Krogers there. How about a little reminder of the now infamous video where they arrested 16 people for this riot, this race riot, where a bunch of black people attacked white people. Let's have a little reminder of what happened at the Krogers in Memphis.
We're following breaking news tonight. Chaos in a popular Memphis shopping center when a mob of young people randomly attacked a Kroger customer and knocked out 2 in-store employees. Good evening, I'm Anna Marie Hartman. The video has set off a social media firestorm, the beating of randomly selected victims at a popular shopping center at Poplar and Highland. Police say this was the work of a local gang. We have team coverage of this violent assault. Lauren Squires has the exclusive one-on-one with the victim. Jason Miles has reaction from city leaders. But we begin tonight with the disturbing video that has gone viral. When a loud crowd of teenagers ran toward the Poplar Plaza Kroger around 9 o'clock Saturday night, someone with a cell phone captured a brutal attack.
They finna fight, they finna jack. Hold on, they got a light.
Take a good look at the Kroger customer in the blue shirt and khaki shorts. He had just gotten out of his car when he was repeatedly punched, but he manages to escape through a crowd of attackers and run into the store. The crowd follows. They zero in on a 17-year-old Kroger employee by the front door who was knocked to the ground and repeatedly kicked in the head. A security guard comes back in to hand off his phone, then goes back and clears the attackers from the employee. By that time, the boy is already unconscious. The guard then runs to the aid of another Kroger employee out front who had been assaulted and could barely walk. The employee passes out onto the ground. The woman taking the video, who appears to be a Kroger employee, goes back toward the door to check on the first employee who was knocked out.
One minute, get him, y'all. Somebody call somebody.
The teenager is surrounded by pumpkins that had been thrown at him before the beating. He's also surrounded by people trying to help and appears to regain consciousness as the cell phone video of a surprise attack on a crowded Kroger comes to an end. There is likely a lot more video of this incident. Police are reviewing surveillance video from Kroger and other businesses in the shopping center as they work to identify everyone involved.
I felt like my life was threatened, and I was lucky to get away.
On 5, we have reached out to those victims to make sure they're doing okay tonight. We continue our team coverage with WMC Action News 5's Lauren Squires, who met with 2 of the 3 victims following last night's attack. Lauren.
Anna Marie, those 3 victims are home safe tonight, recovering. 2 of them, as you said, were employees at Kroger. The third was a customer who said he was simply just trying to get inside when the teens attacked him, and he feared for his life.
Being new to the city, I don't know where I can and where I can't go.
This man, who asked us not to identify him, was on his way into Kroger Friday night when he saw a large crowd in the parking lot. He thought they may be part of a flash mob.
As I was trying to get my camera open, a guy popped around the car and said, "Hey, bruh," and just started swinging at me. And I tried to put my hands, I saw another guy start rushing at me. I took off running backwards through the parking lot.
Video captured on an employee's cell phone shows him getting attacked.
If you watch the video, they say, "Oh, they're jacking, they're getting that white guy."
Hold on, they got a white dude. Hold on, look at him.
I'm that white guy.
You see him here, shorts and a blue shirt, pushing several teens out of the way and running into the store.
I had run clearing through the door. I was at the fruit aisle, and I turned back to see if they were still following me, and they weren't. So immediately I pulled out my phone and dialed 911.
Thankfully, he was not injured, but when he watched the video on Facebook, he was extremely frustrated.
It was nonsense violence. I can say that for sure. It seemed very unprovoked. It seemed like they weren't mad about anything, that it was fun for them. They were out having a good time. They were all smiling, they were laughing.
Laughter as they knocked out a 17-year-old employee, kicking him in the head and throwing pumpkins on top of him. He says several employees were filming the incident, but one man seen at the end of the video knocked out stepped in to defend him and the teen. He's grateful no one was seriously injured, but says someone must be held accountable.
Because I felt like my life was threatened, and I was lucky to get away. But, you know, what is it going to take?
Now, this afternoon, I spoke with the 17-year-old victim you saw in that video. He's obviously very shaken, did not want to go on camera. He says he remembers being hit twice before he blacked out, and at this point, all of the victims hope police find whoever did this.
I love that one guy, not in the mall riot video, but in the video before, the guy at the end where he goes, "This is a good opportunity for us to have a black-owned business and Kroger's, to have somebody come in." Wow, what a fairy tale. So, is it your belief that if a black person started a grocery store or moved a grocery store or expanded a grocery store into that spot, that they would be immune from unbelievable levels of crime, violence, robbery, theft, assault in the parking lot, in the store? Is that your belief? Well, that's delusional. That's the same kind of delusional thinking that lets these council members go, no, they're not losing money. They're just, they're closing their store down. Why didn't they fix up the store here like the one up in Midtown? They were losing millions and millions of dollars at those two stores. Walter Williams, the black economist, who's actually written about my books on more than one occasion, he's, I think Thomas Sowell was also good on this, but the only time I've ever seen it is Walter Williams. He talks about how racism is economically inefficient. And so if there's all these businesses that are turning away black customers just because they're black, I mean, somebody will come in and sell them the stuff that the racist businesses will not sell them. And that's how the market works. And so either Kroger is A, inefficient and irrational, or they're B, efficient and rational, and they know that they can't make money there because the business environment is too hostile because of the epic level of criminality that exists in that black Memphis neighborhood. I'll let you take your choice. But if you think Kroger's is walking away from millions and millions of dollars for no damn reason whatsoever, well, you got to get your mind right. Even though sometimes getting your mind right can definitely make the black kids angry.